Morning, everybody. Friday, June 12th here, coming at you with some more Sermon on the Mount. Today we're going to be in chapter 7. It says, "Do not judge, or you too will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged, and with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, 'Let me take the speck out of your eye, when all the time there's a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite, first take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. Do not give dogs what is sacred, do not throw your pearls to pigs. If you do, they may trample them under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces.'" Jesus is just wrapping up, talking about not worrying, talked about not storing up treasures in heaven, and now he's saying, "All right, well, let's turn the page a little bit here. Let's talk about not judging others." But then he almost seems to contradict himself a few moments later by saying, take the speck or the plank out of your own eye before you take the speck of sawdust out of your brother's eye, because it's kind of like, but you just said don't judge, but now you're saying it's okay to judge. But you see, there's a different thing that he's talking about here, and unfortunately, it kind of gets lost with the word judge. He's not taught the idea of judging somebody is condemning them and taking on that role of uh, prosecutor, judge, jury, executioner, right? What we should do is when we see somebody who's struggling with a sin issue or something along that lines, Jesus tells us multiple times we need to go help that person. But the first thing we need to do is make sure that we're right. We can't go around and just condemning people. You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, without first taking a look at our lives. And the way that we do it shouldn't be judgmentally. It should be in the spirit of helping them. Right now with social media, it's very easy to judge people. It's very easy to point fingers and say, "You're the problem." The problem with that is that when you judge somebody, Jesus says, "By the same manner you judge, you will be judged." How many times do we say something against somebody else when all the while we're caught in sin? This reminds me of the time that Jesus was, somebody brought a woman caught in the act of adultery before Jesus and said, who should the law says we should stone her? And Jesus looks around and he says, "All right, well, whoever is without sin, cast the first stone." I think today with our words, we're casting a lot of stones, but we have a lot of sin. I know that's not easy to hear because we want to point the finger at other people. Yes, that person may be a racist. That person may, whatever it may be. But what about us? Are we perfect? Should we be the ones casting the first stone? I hate to break it to you, but if you think you're without sin, watch yourself, the Bible says. There's only one perfect individual, and that was Jesus. And so we have to be very careful with that when we start throwing accusations at people, whether we're saying, "Oh, you're racist," or "You're oh this, you're oh that, oh, you don't care about people, oh, you don't what." Watch your words and make sure that before you do anything, and let me just encourage you in those instances, um, Proverbs tells us many times that harsh words only stir up anger. Uh, Watch your words. We've talked about that several times on these videos. And I think the main point Jesus is trying to get across here is not what we need to be doing to other people right now, but taking a look at ourselves, right? Because he just said, don't worry about your life. Don't worry about the things that are going on. Focus on the kingdom agenda. Focus on making sure that you're in right standing with God. And as we continue on in chapter 7, we're going to see that come across all the more clearly. So let me just encourage you, not that we don't help somebody out when we see them, but how do you do that? Do you do that in gentleness and kindness, or do you do it with an attitude or a superiority complex? Watch your words. Jesus said it, not me. God be with you this day. Keep on keeping on, church.